Welcome, everybody, to another episode of G2 Kappa. Get to know a person already today. I have one of my good friends and Scaranoia co host, Jared. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, what up, Hugs? I'm glad to be on it. My second time ever being on this type of podcast. I was on your first iteration of GT Kappa, and here I'm on the
Mm-hmm.
second one. Must be an important person.
You are an important, at least to me, you're a very important person, a VIP, I may say. So, of course, a lot of the people that were on the previous iteration of G2 Kappa before I made it a regular interview show are people I met through the wrestling community on TikTok. Now, a lot of what I like to talk about, especially with you guys that are part of UCount, is content creation, your story. Because I know for a fact you didn't get into this from wrestling content, and it was really interesting to me what you were doing. And it was like a Mino or something, right?
It
Like,
was,
what was your content creation?
so I did join the wrestling arena at first, but I didn't really vibe on there. Where it was a bunch of the wrestling fan base. Most of them's weird people. Um, but I really started on the NASCAR. I met some good people on there and just vibe there, and then we ended up making an animated movie on NR 2003, where I was the main star. Me and someone named Zach Stern, one of my good buddies, Zach. We made a full length movie on a game called NR 2003. We did all the voiceover work. My friend Carter put it all together. He did all the editing, and that was like my first venture into the broader world that is content creation. Back in the day, I made some GTA videos whenever I was 9 or 10 on YouTube. They're somewhere. I don't know what the YouTube name was, but that was my first. I'd record from my phone. And me and my brother was fucking talking shit playing GTA. But my big
I love
rider
that.
was the Duel of Destiny. It's actually still on YouTube. The Duel of Destiny on the NASCAR and Mino Networks YouTube channel was my first big content creation journey, I guess you'd call it.
We're gonna one day, you, me, and Crispy are gonna have to do like a little react and watch it, and like do like a little watch along with it because I'm interested. I haven't seen it.
I'm down.
So
I'm down.
okay. Also, I didn't even think about it, but Happy Halloween! This is releasing on
Yes, sir.
Halloween. I made sure to save you. Nice. I made sure to save you for the Halloween episode because one of the reasons I really wanted to feature you on Halloween is speaking of content creation. So of course, I have my own story and stuff I've been doing, but once, like I said, we all met through wrestling community. We were doing different things. You kind of branched out and started making your own videos. You and another friend of ours who went into book talk, but you started making these horror videos. You were doing horror movie reviews, and I was so proud of you, seeing you really like dedicate time, and it looked like you were trying really hard in these. Now you're doing the lives, like it's so good. What made you start doing these, and what what's your journey been like for that?
Well, me and Crispy, I'm just Chris, our co-host on Scaranoia, we watch movies every single night. Me and my best friend in the world, Taylor Markham, my IRL friend Taylor Sport Talk, we go to the movies all the time and watch these horror movies. So I was like, fuck it. Might as well make content out of it. I seen a couple of my buddies, Ian Van Gool and Taylor, complain to make content doing horror reviews. So I was like, might as well just make content out of it. I've always been interested in doing horror movie reviews or just movie reviews in general, but I watch a lot of horror movies. So I was like, why not make content out of it? Just throw something at the wall and see what sticks. And I made a lot of good friends. It's a really fun time. The horror talk community sometimes can be, it's like the wrestling talk community. There's some really idiots on there, but there's some really cool people on there.
So just from spending some time with you, and of course, Scaranoia kind of overlaps, with what we're doing. If you guys aren't watching our horror and conspiracy theory podcast, Scaranoia, make sure you're watching it.
I know episode
But we
dropped
do.
today, guys. Check it out.
That's true. Halloween episode drop. But it's been nice getting to meet some of these people from the community you've been making content in. Because Taylor complains he's been the one dude I've really talked to, but I didn't know you were friends with Ian Van Gogh. If you've mentioned that before, I've seen him probably most likely because of our now mutual FYP that I'm getting filled with. But because he was cool too. There's a few others that I've seen, but that name just stood out to me because I love that. I'm a sucker for good marketing and branding. That's a good name. But Jared, I really love how like genuine your reviews are in your lives. You are a stickler. You hit your lives every night. You're really getting out there and you're building that fan base. And I applaud you, man. You really deserve it. You've been very dedicated in what you're doing. What do you think is next? What do you want to do, like to branch out or add on or?
Or something, my biggest goal is for next year, and I believe it's September every year, is Fantastic Fest. My biggest goal is to be able to go to Fantastic Fest as press and go watch, because they did the Terrifier 3 world premiere there. They did the Smile 2 world premiere there. That movie sucked, but it's still, that's my main goal, is to be able to go to Fantastic Fest next year as press. That's my number one goal. I don't care how many followers I get or anything, just being consistent enough, having enough engagement to be able to go to Fantastic Fest as press next year is a personal goal that I have for myself.
I have no doubt that you'll be able to smash that. And if there's any way that I can assist in that too, because I'll try to make that happen. I got some connects out there in the world still, from when I used to be somebody. But like as far as content creation, like we have Scaranoia, we have all that. Do you see another area you would like to break into, or I know you're into sports? What else are you into that you would want to
Yeah,
make content on?
one time I said I would love to get into sports. I'm a huge, well, I wouldn't really say sports as much as I am like a NASCAR and football fan. Don't really care for baseball and all, but I'm a huge NASCAR fan. Always has been since I was little. My grandma got me into NASCAR, so I would definitely like to do some more NASCAR content because honestly, that's my biggest background. That's how I started content creation, even in servers or one of our mutual friends' server there. I do a lock league. We do like a little like league things in his server. I have a NASCAR lock league and that. So I'd really like to do some more NASCAR content and then some fantasy football content. I love fantasy football, huge fantasy football content fan. Like I consume so much. Fantasy football consumes so much of my life. I should just start making content out of it. You know what I mean?
You really should. Anything that you're spending a ton of time doing, I think you can create something for people to enjoy, and you're very entertaining to me, at least. So I do want to jump into the NASCAR thing because that's been such a big thing. I'm not super knowledgeable on it, but I grew up in a family that did love NASCAR. It was always on in the background. What are some of your earliest memories of that? You say your grandma got you into it. What do you remember?
Dude, one of my earliest memories was Talladega 2006, I'm going to say. Dale Jr. and Jimmy Johnson leading the race. Motherfucking Brian Vickers wrecks both of them and wins the race. I love Brian Vickers. People hated him. I became a fan of him because of that. I thought that was so cool. It's like my earliest NASCAR memory. But some other ones. My grandma was a big Jeff Gordon fan. I
Hmm.
also was Jeff Gordon. I mean, we actually had characters. So we Jeff Gordon was our Lord and Savior, our wrestling side of things. Also a big Tony Stewart fan. One of my earliest memories was Tony Stewart taking his helmet off, throwing it at Matt Kenseth at Bristol in 2008. That was fucking amazing. NASCAR gets a bad rep as it being a redneck sport and all they do is turn left, but NASCAR's fun. Like, you actually sit there and watch NASCAR, you pick a driver, you follow them, and it's kind of, it really is a sports team. Like, actually, like each driver is kind of like a different sports team. You just follow them. Like right now, I'm a huge Christopher Bell fan. He This weekend at Martinsville, he has a chance to lock himself into the championship for Fort Phoenix, which I really hope so. Um, but it's just a fun sport to watch. I love it. Another early memory for me was, well, it really wasn't an early memory. One of my favorite memories was 2015 Martinsville. Jeff Gordon's final win to punch his ticket into the championship four at Homestead that year. I was fucking cheering. My grandma was cheering. One of the, like, really the last moments I had that I can remember, like me and my grandma watching a race closely together. So that's a memory that I always hold dear to my heart. You know what I mean?
I love just listening to you talk about it. Like you're so passionate about it, and it's like that is the type of stuff that I really enjoy getting into with the G2 Kappa. So, are you familiar? I think it's Jeremy Mayfield. Is that who it was? You know this.
Yeah,
He was a
yeah, I know Jared
driver forever
Mayfield.
ago. So I met him. I got his
Yeah.
autograph on a. So my first job was I worked at a hobby shop. So we used to sell those like 1 to 20 die cast of all the NASCAR whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he
I
came
had
into my
so many
shop
of those.
and yeah, he autographed it. I have no idea where it is. I gave it to my dad. My dad has since passed away. I have no clue. But and also Tony Stewart was over there one
I
time
love,
too.
love Tony
But
Stewart, man.
I wasn't like a NASCAR dude, but I was like, oh, it's cool. People know who these people are. And I do have I'm Chicago based. My hometown's Joliet. We have like the Motor something Speedway or something out here.
Yeah, they also
Um,
did lately, last few years, I believe last 3 years, they did the Chicago Street Course. And I
yeah,
think it
I
was in
like super
downtown
sport.
Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
If you ever see the super sports, like the souped up like muscle cars, I like watching that. That's the only type of racing I've really gone and
Okay.
watched. So from the NASCAR stuff, I would love to see you make, more content with that. But when we're getting into the horror content, I want to ask you a couple questions. It is Halloween, of course. So what was let's go with the earliest memory of horror. Like, what was the first horror movie you remember watching?
So I don't really remember the first one, but my earliest memory is watching Child's Play 2, and it's scaring the fuck out of me. Also, honestly, earlier than that, when I was like 3 years old, I was at my friend's house. His older sister made me watch It, the 1990 miniseries, and I was
Yeah.
fucking scared, bro. I was so scared, super scared. It fucked me up. But yeah, but my earliest like memory, remember like sitting down and watching a full film was Child's Play 2. It was on TV. I think my mom might have been watching it or some shit. And I was like, oh shit, this is fucking awesome. It's a killer doll. Like, that's sick. I've watched horror movies since I was like 7 or 8. Like, just looking down here, you all can't see it on screen. I have such a huge physical media collection of horror movies that I've had. Like, I started collecting these whenever I was like 7 or 8, and like it's at like 3 shelves full. There's probably like 400 or 500 movies down there.
Well, so I know like as you get to watch more and more horror, like you kind of become desensitized to it. Like, was there ever a point where you were scared? Did you used to have like nightmares watching it as a kid, or were you always just kind of like unbothered by it?
So I remember watching The Strangers for the first time ever, a home invasion film, by myself one night. I was just in my room one night. I was like 10 at the time or some shit like that. And that movie scared me, bro. Every time I heard a noise, I was like, oh, fuck, the stranger's back is going to come and fuck me up. It really messed me up. It's a good movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. The Stranger's Rule. That's like a movie that really fucked me up. But recently, there was a scene in Terrifier 3. Spoiler alert if you have not seen it yet. Y'all go to like 15
That doesn't
seconds
work
after
for me
this.
because I haven't seen it, but that's fine. I'll watch it eventually in the future, Tim. We're good. We're good.
So my biggest fear is rats.
Hmm.
And there was a scene in Terrifier 3 where he shoves a tube down this girl's throat and puts rats in the tube and sets the rats on fire, and the rat goes down the girl's throat and he slits her throat and the rats fall out. It thought it fucked me up because of the
Bro,
yeah, yeah, it's
that Terrifier is just insane. The first two I watched, and I'm like, I'm not a huge gore guy, and I do want to get in this because you are, but like Terrifier is just the character. Art the Clown is such a good character.
it is. And Terrifier 3 it just now grows. It's the highest grossing. Like today, what it was announced as the highest grossing unrated movie of all time. Terrifier 3 was made for like $2 million and has already made $50 million. And just as
Oh
someone that
wow.
has supported the films, it's just really cool to see. Like it started as this underground
You
thing that nobody
know,
really watched.
I can't tout it enough. You guys trashing me. Paranormal Activity shot on a shoestring budget, made a ton of money. It's like the biggest return in horror history on a budget. But
I don't like some
um,
funny plans.
you have a love hate. We'll get into this in
Okay.
a sec. We'll get back into the gore here in a sec. But you have a love and hate for found footage because recently we did just watch Hell House LLC, and we'll be talking about it in the Halloween episode. If you guys watch Scaranoia, we will be talking about Hell House LLC. But I feel like you watch one, you love it. The next one you watch, you hate it.
Yes.
So, what
Like
is your favorite found footage?
Creep. Creep's my
Okay.
favorite found footage.
So
I
that's
watched
new because I thought you were gonna say Frog. Was it Frogman or something?
what is it?
I said I thought you were gonna say Frogman or something. So is Creep a new
Frogman
one?
Frogman fucks too. Frogman come out this year. Frogman's absolutely amazing. And it was Ian Van Gool actually that got me to watch Frogman because he hyped it up so well, and it's great. But I watched Creep after that. Creep
Okay.
goes so hard. It was. I watched it for the first time this year. It was made in like 2016, 2014. I can't remember. But Creep 1 and 2 both go super hard. But like, I recently watched the Poughkeepsie tapes. I didn't like that.
That's so okay. We're gonna get into this real quick because I love Poughkeepsie tapes. I was one of the people that had recommended. I know a lot of people did, but I was also one of the people that had recommended a lot of my friends to watch this. I think the thing that sucks for most people now is going into it. It's so overhyped because everybody's talked about it. When I saw it, there was like nobody talking about it. It was like, oh
Mhm.
man, this movie's. I just heard like on the internet somewhere this movie's messed up, but it wasn't like I hadn't heard a ton about it. It wasn't whatever. And I felt like it blackened my soul because parts of it are just messed up. But I get it. If it's super hype, it's not like overtly like a super, um, you know, groundbreaking film, but I liked it for what it was. What are some other found footage you think are overrated? Like what, like Poughkeepsie tapes where people kind of,
Um, Paranormal Activity. I'm sorry. It's I like Paranormal Activity 4. I love Paranormal Activity
is that
4.
marked ones or which one is that one?
I can't remember. This guy's got Catherine Newton in it, and I'm a huge Catherine Newton fan.
I forget which one is which. Like I like the marked ones because that's a Hispanic family and it has like witchcraft and stuff in it.
Mhm.
That one's well, they all have witchcraft, but that one has like
Now,
Santeria style witchcraft in it.
I do enjoy the Katie character in the Paranormal Activity
Mm,
franchise. Like, I
okay.
think her like character arc through it all is
Yeah,
fucking insane. I thought like it's okay. Paranormal Activity is okay. Another overrated found footage movie is I'm blanking on the name of it. People hype it up all the time.
not Blair Witch.
Blair Witch. There we go. The Blair Witch is fucking ass. It's terrible. But I was not a it came out in like 98,
It
99.
was like the first like major, like not the first one, but it was like one of the first like super popular
I
ones.
was born in 1999. But I
You're
think if I
old.
was alive back then when it was released, it would have, because people thought, oh shit, these people actually fucking just got
Yeah.
murdered.
Another film like that. Have you ever seen Cannibal Holocaust?
Dude, Cannibal Holocaust. Me and
So
Christy
that
watched it on live, bro. It goes, ugh.
well, because that's like the first found footage or whatever. If not, it's like one of the first found footage horrors. But
Mhm.
people thought that was real. They had like a court trial. Like they had to
It was
bring
banned.
people in.
It was banned
Yeah.
for quite a few years.
So as someone who, I'm a 90s kid, grew up in the 90s. So watching Blair Witch, that was probably the first scary movie I can remember having like a bad reaction to or like, dreaming about whatever. And again, spoiler, it's from the 90s, so deal with it if you haven't seen it. But when they're running down the stairs and he's like standing in the corner, like staring in the car, I was like, oh, that's so fun. Like,
Mhm.
I like, fuck me up so bad, dog. Like, I don't know why that just messed me up. Just the thought of him like sitting there in the corner. Um, but because what's funny is we're good friends. We have this podcast. We talk all this stuff. Found footage is my favorite genre of horror. Okay, now we're gonna get back to what you're a huge fan of that I'm not, which is gore.
Mhm.
So what is like your if you were to give your top three of like people that are gore favorites, gore hounds?
So like some of my favorite like killers that's war wise, Art the Clown, obviously. He's like Lord Jesus right now. Also, Victor Crowley, bro, from the Hatchet series. Hatchet 1, 2, and 3 are some of my favorite movies of all time. And that's due also another Ian Van Gogh is someone that hyped him up a lot. Absolutely love the Hatchet movies. Have you saw the Hatchet movies, Hugs?
I have not. I need to watch a lot of the stuff that you guys talk about. So, like, just small fact if nobody knows anything about me and you watch these, I used to be a YouTube reactor. I react to a lot of things. So, I don't watch a lot of stuff just by nature of the fact I used to react to everything. So, I like
Oh.
specifically do not watch like anything. I don't watch TV. I don't watch a lot of movies.
And another one that had, it's not too gory, but I think it's kind of gory. Obviously, the greatest film of all time. Better, you can have your Godfathers. You can have your Halloween 78, which is the most overrated film, by the way. This is the greatest film of all time, Scream 1996. It's not that good, but that is like, that movie means so much to me. It is a movie that I consider absolutely perfect. There's nothing bad about that movie. I love every character in it. There is not one negative I have to say about the 1996 Scream. Like the very first Scream, it's my favorite movie of all time. I could watch it a million times in a row and never get tired of it.
Now, I will say this: what kind of ruined Scream for me? You're a fan of, which is Scary Movie.
See, I love the scary movies. Man, I love parody movies. I love horror comedies, like especially parodies, like not just horror wise. Like I don't know if you ever watched epic movie, superhero movie, disaster movie. Like it's
Yeah, I've
kind of
seen
on
some of
the
them.
same
Yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Huge parody movie fan. Absolutely love them.
So
But
I do like those. Like I'm a fan of like the ones that poke fun at the action movies or whatever. But it kind of like killed the Ghostface character for me. The like what's
I could see that for
that? Like
sure.
it took all the horror out of it for me. I think.
I can see that. I can see it. I love it though. Like I'd separate the two. But Scream, I didn't care for the new one. Scream 6 kind of took me out of it. Super excited for Scream 7 since we're back to following Neve Campbell. I think that's what was missing in Scream 6, but 1996 Scream is the greatest movie of all time.
What about the show?
Dude, I love the TV series, especially the first two seasons. And I just recently found out it was on Plex today. Like, actually, literally today, I found out that it is on Plex. So I'm going to go watch them, I think. Because with the month of October being over, I don't really necessarily have to do. My goal at the beginning of October was to get 2 horror movie reviews out every day on my main page. And now that tomorrow is November 1st, I can venture into watching maybe some TV shows and different types of movies. Because I also have another account. I think it's Jared's Movie Talk, which I'm going to be posting reviews for the Karate Kid movies. Me and our co-host Crispy is going to be I'm just Chris is going to be watching.
We call him Chris, Crispy, whatever. You'll find him. If you
Yeah,
find us, you'll find him. We're
yeah.
always very close together. Okay. So we've gone through a lot of different topics here, and I do kind of want to get into what I call my um lightning round. It's not really a lightning round anymore, but it's whatever, just questions I want to ask because I can.
Uh-huh.
I'm interested because you're into so many different things. You're passionate about so many different things. I'm going to ask you the museum question, which is if you had Jared's museum, your own museum, what would it be and what would be in it?
Well, number one, skills. If you know me, you know I love skills like that. You walk into the museum, you get handed a pack of skills
Okay.
to enjoy the art.
As all
Then,
museums, you should. You should
yeah,
realistically, you should.
then in the first exhibit, you're gonna go through my life. You're gonna see a bunch of NASCAR, all my little 164, 124 scale diecast. Then you're gonna walk, and then you're gonna see a bunch of AEW stuff. I'm a huge AEW fan. That WWE sucks, by the way. You gotta see a bunch of AEW stuff. Then you gotta see the horror movies, and then you also, if you pay the extra, you're gonna get to see the real behind the scenes. Which, if you know me, you know what I love. You know I love, big old melons and stuff like that.
That's going to be a lot extra. I feel like that
Yeah,
just means at the end of your museum turns into a strip club. I feel like that's what
yeah, pretty
happens.
much.
Like
Yeah,
that's okay.
you get a bush light
Okay.
and a blunt, and they're like, "Hey, I go in the strip club."
Okay. All right, so switching into something, this is something I asked Crispy too. I'm curious both ways. What horror character do you think would be best in pro wrestling?
Dude, low key, Art the Clown, bro.
I think it'd be
He
pretty
just
cool.
Art the Clown would fuck people up, bro. Like, he just would. Like I would see him like a almost like Kane, Kane levels of like just destruction. Like I'm talking like before Kane took his mask and then Kane took his mask off. Like whenever he
Yeah.
got which fucking beat him and he had to take his mask off. He just went absolutely nuclear for like 2 months. Like I think he electrocuted Shane McMahon's balls. That just gives me Art the Clown vibes.
I could see that, but I would see him, and this is kind of old school. I don't even know if you ever watched any Doink the Clown, but like evil Doink, where he'd be like
Yeah, yeah,
extremely
yeah.
evil, like psycho, like almost like a more Pennywise version, like a more like evil. So I dig that. Okay, so which wrestler, and there's a couple
Uh,
answers for this, do you think would do best in horror?
I mean, we've seen Kane. He was a good night and say no evil. Before he passed away, Bray Wyatt, bro. Bray Wyatt, dude, like Mr. Cross gave me Firefly Funhouse vibes. Like I would love to have seen Wyndham in a
Well,
like horror movie.
that character, the original Bray Wyatt before the Fiend, that was based off of Cape Fear or whatever, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Then another one from AEW that I think is like a good and like just like a brutal person, and I really like the dude Lance Archer. I don't know if you know
Mm.
who that is. Lance Archer, I think would be a cool horror movie villain, man.
He and I had a feud on Twitter like 15 years
Really?
ago or whatever. Because what was he before? He's like Lance Hoyt or something,
Yeah,
like something
Lance
like that.
Hoyt. I mean,
Yeah, he'll never watch this, but he blocked me on Twitter because I told him he couldn't draw money if I gave him a green marker.
hey,
So
I'm a
shout out
huge
to
Lance
him.
Archer. Not out Williams, bro.
Shout out to him, man. I didn't mean it. I was a troll. I don't care, but also I didn't really mean it. I think that's a good pick, though. That's a good one. Okay, so we didn't get into this very much, but I know that you are a passionate sports fan. Okay, we're
Go
gonna
Patriots.
we're gonna switch up what I asked Ian, which was a 5v5 sports team. If you watch that one, and I'm gonna say you're building your own NASCAR crew, your own team. Okay, it's gonna be you and four other drivers, and you guys got to take the cup. Like, what are your drivers you're picking to make that team?
Okay, so I think
And it
as
could
a
be
fuel
all
man,
time, all time, all time.
okay, as a fuel for the fuel man, you want somebody that's fast so you can get the fuel in there and then throw it. I feel like you had to go Tyler Hill on that. He's the fastest in the FL player right now. I just feel like even though he kind of has made my fantasy team kind of sucky, he's super fast. He'll get that fuel in there, and then then as a tire man, you want somebody that's kind of beefy that can carry the tires all the way around the car. And I think that I'd had to go with our head Gerard Mayo, the Patriots head coach, that is.
Okay.
Gerard Mayo. Phenomenal dude. Not that good of a head coach right now, but we're working on it. We're working on it. Then, as our crew chief, I want someone that can lead the team. You want someone that has that expertise, and that's where Bill Belichick comes in, the greatest leader in any sports team ever. His wisdom is unlike anything else. 6 Marines up here. I don't know if you can see them all. You can see some of them.
Tires might be a little deflated though.
Win by any means necessary. And then you want someone that's your spotter, someone that is watching the track. And who's a better watcher than Matt Moore? He's not a sportsman, but he's a watcher. I'm going with Matt Moore.
I was gonna say, there's the Watcher, Bryce. You were talking Watcher, and I was like, are we sticking with it? Okay.
Yep.
Shout out to Cage. So now this is something that is tied to Crispy's episode that will actually air before this, but you have not seen it yet. Crispy had to come up with one for you, and I want to know for you, you have to create a conspiracy theory about Crispy.
Crispy's not a real ginger. He's not a real ginger. He dyes his hair. And I think there's so much proof in the pudding. Like, have you seen some of his older pictures? He doesn't look
Yes,
that ginger back
that's
in the
true.
day. So I think he's a fake ginger.
He does look
I
very
when I
caveman
him,
back in the day.
That's right. I believe he's a fake ginger, man. Because if he was a ginger, he wouldn't have a soul. But my best friend has to have a soul, man. Has to have a soul. So I think he is a fake ginger.
Okay.
And I have told him that.
He,
I don't believe he's a ginger.
I think he mentioned that. I think in the episode he mentions that you're probably going to say that one. Either that or he told me after. Okay, so we've gone wrestling and horror. We've gone horror and wrestling. Who would be the best horror character turned NASCAR driver?
Mm-hmm. even though I hate the dude, Michael Myers. Michael Myers is like, he is smart, 100% smart, and you want someone smart on the track. Michael Myers would be a smart NASCAR driver that would get the job done because you can't kill him. You can't take him out. Every time you think he's out of it, bam. He's like Kevin Harvick. He's like the closer. He's bam, right back in it, right back in the lead. Has to be Michael Myers, I think.
I dig it. Actually, that's who I would pick. I think that would probably be the best one. Also, he's already got like that suit, that whatever. He's like suited up
Good,
already. It kind of
good.
looks like he's
Yeah,
ready for
yeah,
it.
perfect, man. He's already ready for it.
And then we're going to switch gears because I want to get into a very serious question, which is what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given is don't trust anybody. Like 95% of the people that you think that you can trust is the same people that would bite you to get ahead. 95% of the people that you consider friends are snakes, just looking for. They're like vultures, waiting for you to fail, to make fun of you, to hold you down. But as soon as you're successful, they'll be right there knocking at the door wanting help.
I believe that. And normally I'm not a very pessimistic person, but I've just lived that many times. So I feel you, Doug.
Yeah.
But no, that's actually really good advice. I think like I wouldn't want to look 95%, but maybe that's just me being, an optimist. But I definitely think, you have to protect yourself and you have to make sure that who you surround yourself with are people that are one team, one dream people. That's what I like about you. No matter what people have to say about me or you, we've stood the test of time in our friendship. And one thing is, I can definitely always trust you and what you say. You're a man of your word. I do love you, Jared. Thank you for being on this episode. My last question is going to be for you, as it is of everyone. I'm going to ask you for a recommendation, okay, of someone who would be interesting and interested that I could also get to know on a GT Cap episode.
I'm gonna give you an unrealistic one and then a realistic one.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with my unrealistic. It's the hottest woman in the entire world, Sydney Sweeney. Hey, Sydney Sweeney, if you're watching this, add me on Snap, the Jared Holmes, or just follow me everywhere. Follow me everywhere, the Jared Holmes, Sydney Sweeney. Hit me up. I love you, girl. But my realistic is my buddy Taylor Swartalk,
Okay.
also known as Taylor Markham. Me and him's been friends since we was like before kindergarten. My bestest friend in the entire world. We go watch horror movies together. We go to wrestling shows together. I think he would be great just to see the dynamic that you two would have.
Yeah, he seems pretty cool. I watched some of his TikTok content. We comment back and forth. Like, he seems pretty cool dude. So I'd definitely be interested in checking him out. I'm gonna write him down. The other person I'm actually writing down that you're not recommending, but I've just heard the name a lot in here, is Ian Van Gool. So I'm actually going to reach out potentially. And then Taylor Complains, another person we talked about. I'm already hitting him up, and he will be on a future episode as well. But Taylor Horror Talk. So we're going to have Horror Talk representing in here, man. If I can pull all these people in here, but I already have the best that I possibly could get of TikTok Horror Talk. I got the Jared Holmes himself, the man that made it all happen. So many people have followed in your footsteps, brother. I hope if anything ever comes of that, that you can just realize that by you putting your heart, your passion into something, you've inspired other people. You've inspired me. You're in big part why I want to get back into making content creation, because I saw people like you and Brandon and Crispy and some other people making these videos. I'm like, man, I wanna work with you guys. I want to help navigate the stuff that I went through. You inspire people, man. You really do.
Right.
So
I've always been a trendsetter,
you
trendsetter in MVP,
you are.
trendsetter here on Old Talk,
I
man.
just want you to know what you do matters. I love you, brother. Thank you for being on, and we'll be back next week probably with another episode. Happy Halloween.
Yes, sir. Happy Halloween.